Hi everybody, Big Bong here. How are you guys holding up? So here in Montreal, the lockdown got a little more flexible, and that was my main concern, not being able to go outside for a ride, especially when we have such a nice weather. Even though I'm not really harming anyone going for a ride by myself. But anyway, here I am today, and I thought it was a great opportunity to show you around since you guys can't come visit the city. So if you're ready, then hop on.
So, welcome to Montreal. It's my pleasure to share my riding experience with you guys in such a beautiful day. Let's start from the beginning. So if you don't know anything about Montreal, you should know that it's an island surrounded by the St. Lawrence River and the Prairies River. Right in the north you have the Laval Island. All of this is considered the greater Montreal area, but as you can imagine, there are rivalries between people living in the North Shore and people living in the South Shore, and Montreal in the middle that honestly doesn't care about anything that's happening outside of its island. Now, Montreal is actually a pretty big island, and if you're planning to come here for only a few days, you're probably going to stay in a small portion around the Mont-Royal made of downtown, the old city with the old port, going up the St. Lawrence Boulevard, which is certainly the most multicultural street in town. You have the Plateau, Rosemont, Outremont, the Myland, and many other areas nearby. Now, I'm just on my bike chit-chatting with you. I'm not a professional tourist guide, so of course I'm certainly going to miss plenty of information, but let me just describe what we see together. So we're now downtown on the main street, which is called St. Catherine. I can show you a bit of that. So that's where you have access to the famous underground city, which is very useful when you want to go shopping when it's freezing cold during the winter and you don't want to go outside. So that's basically where we found all the shopping malls. You have the big Scotiabank cinema and a bunch of fancy restaurants. And if you go a bit further down, you'll find a Place des Arts, which is where the Montreal Jazz Festival and the Francofolies take place. But because of all the traffic lights, it's not very fun to ride here. So we're now on Park Avenue and we're about to ascend the Mont-Royal. It's always so nice to ride here. So on the right we have the Jean Park, where people can come and play volleyball, I think. There is also a bicycle lane. I used to go down the hill to go to work, and it felt so good. On our left there is the monument to Sir George Etienne Cartier. And last September 27, we were dozens of thousands of people going down this street to protest against climate change. So it feels very quiet now. So this road is called Camélia Route. It's so nice, surrounded by trees and nature, and it leads to a belvedere, which can be a very romantic place with a lovely view. I love riding my motorcycle, and you know what? When I was 6 years old, of course I thought of becoming a spaceman like many other kids, but more practically speaking, I knew it was more realistic to be able to ride a motorbike. So yeah, it was my dream from childhood, and now my dream came true. If you continue this road, there's a little parking where you can leave your car and walk to the Beaver Lake. And then we reach the Remembrance Road with the Notre-Dame-de-Neige Cemetery, where very important Canadian figures are buried. Now I just want to show you something right next to here. There is of course the Oratory Saint Joseph, and you should definitely check it out if you come here. But there's also something else I want to show you. Welcome to the University of Montreal, where I studied. I don't know if you watched the movie Arrival, but it was funny to see that they shot some scenes in these buildings right here, because the director Denis Villeneuve is from Quebec. So on the other side of the Mont-Royal there is also McGill and Concordia University, which makes Montreal a pretty big student city for Canada. Anyway, let's go back to the city center. Now, because Montreal is an island, you bet that there are many bridges connecting the shores. And I love bridges. I love the conception behind them, the architecture, the view when you're on them, even the small one on Seigneur roads. But let's go to a bigger one. We're on the new Champlain bridge, and we've been waiting for it. Look at this view. This is what I call freedom. We're on the St. Laurent River. And on our right, there is the old Champlain bridge. Let's teleport there. Here we go. No, I'm just kidding. It's the magic of editing. I'm still on the new one. And I'm showing footage from last year because this bridge is now closed. And on the left, you can't see it because it's pretty far, but there is the Victoria Bridge. Let's go on it. Woo! Now, I don't really like the sensation of riding on this bridge. And it might seem very old and ugly, but the Victoria Bridge is a very special one. Because not only was it the first one to span the St. Laurent River, but when it was built, it was the longest railway bridge in the world. And it's still used by the Canadian National Railway today. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a moment to talk about my bike. Maybe I'll lose half of the audience, but I wouldn't be enjoying my time without it, so I think it's just fair. So the Suzuki SV650. It's a very simple naked bike, unpretentious at all, and I love this specific one, which is the 2018 model with the black painting and the red frame. So for example, if you look at the equivalent the year after, it became metallic silver, which I'm not really fond of. So the characteristics I like the most are first, the round headlight, which gives it a vintage look. For me, the headlight is very important on a bike. You know, we say that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and I believe the same goes for motorbikes. I really like the frame. I wasn't a big fan of the 2014 Gladius with the same color, and I'm glad they made the trellis frame thinner, which makes it similar to the Ducati Monster. I like the wheel rims. They look like stars, and I think making their color match with the frame was a good choice. Now, if I said that the headlights are like the motorcycle's eyes, the engine is its heart, and I like its V-twin. It's not very big, but I like its performance, its sound, again, unpretentious at all. だからこんなに楽しめることができて、スズキの技術者さんにお礼を言わせていただきたいと思います。さすが世界中で有名な日本の品質、ジャパニーズクオリティでとっても感謝しておってます。本当にありがとうございます。Now, for the little story, even though I've always been more attracted by the Honda family in terms of performance, design, and even champions, one of the reasons why I chose Suzuki, and that's going to sound very silly, it's because one of my best friends from childhood's family name is Suzuki. He has no ties with the company whatsoever, but it's a name that will always sound positive to me. Actually, you should definitely check out his Instagram. He's a brilliant photographer. Now, I love big bikes with big engines, and of course I love the speed, but I'm aware that the road is not a racetrack, especially here in Quebec. You may notice that the roads are not in their best shape, and there are plenty of potholes we call nid-pool, mainly because of the quality of the roads and the harsh weather, especially during the spring when all the frozen roads starts melting. So just be careful when you drive, and that goes for cars too. So as I was saying, I love big bikes, but I'm satisfied with my 650 engine. I wanted to have something that was at least bigger than a 500cc, but first it's important to know that the bigger you get, the more you're going to pay insurance fees. And here in Quebec, we have many extra fees. So first we have to pay our driver's license every year, which is not the case in France, for example. So if you want to have both the car and the motorcycle's licenses, you've got to pay double than a person who only drives a car. Second, you must also pay the plate every year. And here, the more sporty and the bigger your engine is, the more you're going to end up paying. And finally, you have to pay the insurance on the motorcycle itself. So as I said, it adds up quickly. Now, knowing that it's illegal to ride during the winter, and it's pretty cool to do it right before and after that, we can practically only ride for about 6 months. Oh yeah, and line splitting is completely illegal too, even in heavy traffic jams. So basically you need to behave like a car. That's why a lot of people coming here who used to ride a bike just don't think it's worth it anymore. I don't want to be bashing where I live, but to be honest, Quebec is not the most motorbike friendly place on earth. But to me, the sensation of riding a motorcycle is priceless, and so I'm willing to pay the price. Actually, anyone can imagine the sensation. It's like when you're descending a hill on a bicycle. You know that nice feeling of wind caressing your hair? It's that, but faster, and not only when you go down. Okay, so I'm gonna end this tour with a very nice view, which is the perfect one if you want to take a date for a ride. And of course, it involves another bridge, the famous Jacques Cartier bridge. My camera is not sensitive enough to shoot well during the night, but it's definitely worth coming during the evening and see the lights on it. Ah, it's so nice and such a beautiful day. So on our left there is the amusement park La Ronde, and I'll stop here at the Jean-Drapeau park, which is on the St. Helens Island. Ah, it feels so good to be surrounded by nature. And the great thing is that it's very close to the city center, but it's pretty peaceful, unless there is a major event like Osheaga or the F1. And this is the biosphere. Wow. I came here many times, but it always feels so nice. So I'll go back downtown from Bonaventure, which is the most welcoming place to enter the city from the South Shore. So you see the white statue is made of writings from all over the world, and it's called Source by Spanish artist Jaume Plensa. So that's about it, guys. Thank you so much. Ah oui, et un petit message pour la ville de Montréal. Si quelqu'un qui travaille à la ville tombait sur cette vidéo, bon, je sais que je dis plein de choses sur l'état des routes et sur la régulation, mais c'était quand même sympa de tourner cette vidéo, et je sais pas si ça vous intéresse que j'en fasse d'autres pour en faire la promotion. Et pour mes amis francophones qui veulent en apprendre plus sur l'histoire de la ville, je vous encourage vivement à regarder l'émission MTL animée par Jean-Philippe Vautier sur Télé-Québec. So if you enjoyed this video and you would totally go for a ride with me, give me a thumbs up. Let me know the place you like the most in the comments, and don't forget to share and subscribe. You guys are amazing. Alright then, take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.